The tariff talk continues. Just a couple days ago, check this out. Discussed on the channel that Honda is more than likely, we'll see. I mean, Honda has not confirmed anything, but they also haven't denied anything. Although they say that Honda has not had official announcement in terms of production. So just a couple days ago, it was a Civic hybrid hatchback. They're saying that they're not bringing production from Japan anymore on that vehicle to the United States. I don't know how much that production actually is. It's probably extremely low volume because they make the Civic hatchback hybrid in Indiana already. So that was a weird report. And good luck finding a J VIN number Civic hatchback hybrid in the United States. You're much better off. I mean, this Type R is the only J VIN number Civic I've seen in America for a long time, at least from a new car perspective. But Nikkei Asia is saying that Honda was potentially snuffing production from Canada and Mexico to build more vehicles in the United States. However, the truth of this, if there is truth to this, again, take it with a grain of salt, is that Honda is more than likely keeping production in Canada and Mexico the same, while the United States might not get the same volume mix from Canada and Mexico in the past. All right, there's a lot of questions about this press release as well. Yes, Honda could absolutely want to jack up production in the United States by over 30% over the 2 to 3 years. That's believable, but they would have to run night shifts. They'd have to work on the weekends. And they would probably have to build a new plant, which there's talks about that, but nothing official from Honda. All right, so that's getting you up to speed on Honda. All right, but what's going on the Toyota end? This just came out, guys, just a few hours ago at the time of this recording. Toyota is weighing the possibility of adding U.S. production of new Rav4 in response to tariffs. Currently, the Rav4 is sourced from 3 different areas. Okay, this generation Rav4 that you see on the screen. It's sourced from 3 different areas. Ontario, I think it's a Cambridge plant. They make the Rav4 hybrid up there, I believe. Also, Japan still exports a lot of Rav4s into the United States. You can still find Rav4's J VIN number in the United States. A large percentage comes from the Kentucky plant, the world's largest Toyota plant. It's been communicated to me for years now with sources that know what's going on down in Kentucky at that plant, that the Rav4 was going to leave that plant with the new generation. Okay, we have a new generation Rav4 coming out this year. I'll bring it to you guys, don't worry. And so the plan is that the Camry would stay on line 2. Line 1, where the Rav4 is currently made, would leave, and we would only be getting Canadian-made Rav4s and Japanese-made Rav4s. That was a plan before tariffs. Now that the tariff situation is very unclear, Toyota is thinking about potentially sharing line 2 production with the Camry with the Rav4 down in Kentucky. Now, there's also a line 3 that makes the Lexus ES. The Lexus ES is going back to Japan. And from my sources, Lexus doesn't have any, or Toyota doesn't have any plans, at least that they know of, to replace that ES production with something else in the near term. Okay, they probably, I mean, at least immediately. So ES goes back to Japan for production, but again, tariffs, right? What if they scrap that? They have a battery plant in North Carolina where they can source batteries for the new ES, but then you have to rework the entire supply chain to get the parts to produce the ES stateside, which they've been planning to phase out for years now. All right, so this is just pure chaos from Toyota's perspective in the Kentucky plant. What about line 1? I've already talked about line 2, potentially line 3. Line 2, the Rav4, if production gets brought back into Kentucky, it's getting moved from line 1 to line 2. Why is it going from line 1 to line 2? Well, line 1, this is where they're going to make their 3-row BEVs in Kentucky. The 3-row battery electric Highlander, the Subaru Ascent EV or whatever they're going to call it, and a Lexus variant as well, probably called the TZ. So Lexus, Toyota, Subaru will be building their 3-row EVs in line 1. And adjacent to line 1 is also where they assemble the battery packs. They're getting these battery modules from the North Carolina battery plant, and then Toyota has communicated that they will custom make and pack the batteries at location of assembly for these vehicles. Okay, it's more efficient for them and cheaper for them to do it, and more flexible as well to do it that way. So line 1 BEVs, line 2 was just going to be Camry hybrid, but Camry hybrid and the new RAV4 are going to share the same powertrains, at least from the standard hybrid perspective. More than likely, they might not have the same battery packs. You might have a bigger battery pack for the RAV4 hybrid, potentially. And obviously, you would have the RAV4 plug-in hybrid being built on that line, possibly. Maybe they build them all in Japan or Canada, the plug-in hybrid. So let's read into this article to see if there's anything else. Toyota originally planned to export new RAV4 to US from just Canada and Japan and get rid of the United States Kentucky-built RAV4s that's built on assembly line 1, if my memory serves correct. U.S. production of RAV4 would start in 2027 if Toyota goes ahead with the Kentucky plan. All right, so it's not like when the new vehicle launches here in 2025, availability could be late 2025, early 2026 of the new RAV4. I bet it's late 2025. Those seemingly are all going to be sourced from Canada and Japan. They wouldn't be able to bring up production of the RAV4 into Kentucky until 2027. All right, so you'd have a year, maybe up to 2 years tops, probably, of imported only RAV4s. Toyota's overall output in Canada likely to be maintained. All right, so they don't plan on reducing volume in Canada whatsoever, even if the RAV4 goes into production in the United States. Why would that be? Well, okay, they can export those RAV4s from Canada to other markets, not named the United States. But the United States hunger and thirst for the RAV4 is insane. They sold 475,000 units of those of the RAV4 last year. Having as many sourced RAV4s as possible makes sense to me. Reuters sources says Toyota has yet to finalize production plans. Any production changes cannot be implemented quickly and require long-term planning. That's why 2027 at the earliest is maybe when they can start rolling them off of Kentucky, even though they're making them right now. They're making them right now, but that's the current generation. Next generation, there was zero plans for it to be made in Kentucky. It was leaving that plant as soon as this year. I just wanted to end on this. GM and Honda, which you could say it's just GM, because Honda's EVs are made by GM. Anyways, GM/Honda's EVs lead February EV gain with fresh U.S. models as Tesla and Rivian slip. Tesla and Rivian will continue to slip. I would say Rivian will continue to slip until they have their more affordable models on the market. And Tesla will continue to slip for lots of different reasons. They're just, I think their biggest issue, other than political reasons, is a lack of fresh and new product. You might be saying, hey, refresh Model Y and Model 3. Yeah, but is that enough to convince people to buy it over their current models? And the S and X are essentially on life support. They haven't been updated in ages. General Motors and Honda led the industry's 14% gains on electric vehicle registrations in February. You got to keep in mind, people are, if they're on the fence with EVs or buying an EV, there's fire underneath their seat right now because Trump has been threatening to kill the EV tax credit. Why he hasn't done it yet, I'll let you guys decide. Does that have to do with Musk? I have no idea. Does he have bigger fish to fry? Probably. So anyways, the EV tax credit is still in effect, but it's probably not going to be in effect forever. All right. It's going to be phased out, and we just don't know when that hammer is going to drop. So people are buying EVs quickly, or at least more quickly than they had been the previous February. Also, you have Equinox EV and Honda Prologue sales going up, but also incentives have been pushing down EV prices substantially. You also have in California, Colorado, and different markets that give you additional EV tax credits or purchasing credits for those vehicles. So you can lease these EVs for very, very cheap. Buying them is not a good financial idea because of how fast EVs depreciate. Leasing is the only way to do it, in my opinion, because you're not stuck with all that baggage after 3 years or 2 years or however long you decide to lease these things. So it's still a bit comical, Tesla's lead in terms of overall sales. They still have, I mean, look at this huge drop off. You have the Ford Mach-E essentially here and the Lightning built into that. You have all the Chevy EVs. I guess is it just really the Equinox and Blazer EVs at this point for Chevy? I guess they have some Silverado EVs that they just laid off workers at the Silverado EV plant. So it's not looking good for Chevy big EVs anyways. BMW, the i4 has been selling well for them. The iX is doing okay as well. Hyundai, I feel like Hyundai, well, mixed with Kia and probably Genesis, they are the second best selling EV brand in America when you lump them all together. So it's interesting because Hyundai and Kia, between them and Genesis, they have maybe the most EV models compared to any other brand, maybe even more than General Motors. All right, I don't want to start counting in my head, but they have a ton, especially when you take into account like Kona EV, Nero EV, stuff like that. So it's interesting. They have so much variety, yet they're not higher on the EV sales chart. Volkswagen, I saw the first ID Buzz in my neighborhood. It's a beautiful, beautiful van. It would never work for my family, I don't think, due to not having real minivan cargo capacity. That's a bit of a misstep, but I'll review one. Hopefully I get to review one soon. But yeah, I'm not going to go too much into this, guys. The EV sales volume, most of you guys don't care. I'm not going to say most of you guys don't care about EVs on the channel. A lot of you guys don't care about EVs on the channel until there are more charging networks up and running. They charge faster. You don't have range anxiety, a better range. They're cheaper, all this stuff. There's so many hurdles still on EVs. All right. So anyways, I'm going to shut down. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more news. Do you think Toyota is going to bring the Rav4 next gen production, or should I say keep it into the Kentucky plant after a couple year hiatus of planning to ship it over the border and overseas? I don't know. It's fascinating what's happening in the industry right now. It's just pure chaos. I'm glad I can just report on the news and not have to worry about any substantial decisions at these huge corporations. Have a great day, guys. Thank you for watching and stay tuned. Peace out.